It's our part maker advent season where we talk about soldering irons, soldering stations, hot air rework, basically anything that melts solder to build things. I have a lot of soldering irons. A lot. From teeny tiny like £8 soldering irons, like this USB powered one, to £100 ones like this. It's £60 now. It was 100 when it came out. It's 60 now. TS101. Soldering stations. This Yahua 938BD Plus I. Very generic on Amazon, but damn good. Let's start off. Soldering doesn't have to be difficult, alright? Just like your taxes, apparently. Soldering is really just melting something to connect two components together. So you want a component connected to a board. It can be a little difficult when you're first starting out, simply because you've got something that's like 300 to 400 degrees Celsius in your hand. That's red hot, and when you drop it, it hurts. Ask me how I know. Ask in the comments. Hey, I'm a YouTuber. Right. But do you need hulking great things like this to start off soldering? No. So, this is a favourite of mine. It's an 8 watt, and it's got a name of Handskit, which sounds like a bad guy from Die Hard. 8 watt, 5 volt USB soldering iron. Really easy to put new tips on. Just screw on like this, plug it in, press a button, and you've got 3 stages of heat. Green, which is like 300, and you've got, is it blue? That's 350, then it goes up to 450 when you press red, and that's like for a short time. So this bit gets hot, but it's really the tip, the bit that does all the work, gets super hot to melt solder. You can get other tips. These were kindly donated by a viewer a year ago, so apologies it's taken so long. It's been a year. As in not the duration, but it's been a difficult year for me. Different tips to just screw in place, and I've got standard conical. Sorry, out of shot. But I've got to look at it so I can tell you what it is, then put it in shot. I've got to remember how to do this. Yeah. So conical, chisel tip. That's quite a nice one actually. And we have a sort of conical chisel. So I've got a really big flat bit, so you can get some precise soldering with that, but also you can dump a load of heat as well. That's a great way to start. Cheap, cheerful, it melts solder, great for kids, great for kids as well. Heats up in about 15 seconds. 15 seconds, ready to work, get going, cools down in about 2 minutes. Good for kids because it's not massive. Soldering irons like this can feel huge for a kid's hands and a bit unwieldy because of the wire behind it as well. But this with just a simple micro USB cable, it's just a little easier for kids to get to work with. What about if you've got a bit more money? Right, Pinecil, they're about 25 to 35 quid. Similar in dollars as well. That's Pinecil 1, light blue. Very nice. Uses micro USB and DC 5525 connection, barrel jack. Smart soldering iron, you can replace the tips quite easy. And I've got loads of tips in there. Pinecil V2, same thing. A little bit smaller, shorter tip, either are good to start with. If you find them, get a Pinecil V2 because, well, it's newer. If you can't find those or you don't like those, fair enough. Miniware have their TS range. So we have the one that started it all, the TS100. Nice little iron. This uses DC 5525 for power, to power the iron. We've got the one up from that, the TS80. This is all USB-C. This isn't one of my favourites. It's good. What's selling it is easy tip removal, obviously when it's cold. There you go. Just uses like a headphone jack, a TRRS jack. So it's good, but it's never been my favourite. One I do like is TS101, which is sort of an amalgamation of the 80 and the 100. In that you've got USB-C power and DC power in this one. Remember, that's only got USB-C, but it's just a larger iron, but it's not grossly large. So the body is roughly the same size as a Pinecil, and the tips are a bit longer. Tips are interchangeable. The Pinecil and TS range, TS101 and 100, not the 80, can use the same tips. So they just pull out like that. They are actually screwed in place, but I just loosen the screw on mine, because it just gets annoying. Nice irons. So TS100 is an old one, pick them up for about 50 quid. TS101 is about 60, and same again for the 80. Good irons. Or there is this one, and a brand that is slightly difficult to pronounce it. I believe it's Fnirsi, Fnirsi, Fnirsi USB-C. Comes in a very fetching case like this, and it's got a cover on, so you can cover up the tip once it's cooled down a little bit and stick it in your work bag. Don't put the soldering iron in here when it's red hot. Ask me how I know. Ouch. Tips on this are unfortunately not TS101 or Pinecil compatible. You have to buy another one. They look very similar though. Very similar, but they're not the same thing. This was about 35-40 quid if memory serves, and I bought it for review on Tom's Hardware. And it's been a daily driver for me. It just works. Plugged into USB-C, needs to do a bit of soldering, wallop, done. I can configure this soldering iron's smart features, get it in ShotLes using USB-C. It's a text file, just edit the text file to say I want it to reach this temperature for this setting, for next setting do this. So if you're doing SMD or temperature sensitive stuff, edit the text file, temperature curves are edited, away you go. The same with all of these smart soldering irons, the Pinecils, TS range, so TS101, 80 and the 100. Not so much for this one, it's just simple USB, turn it on, press a button, heats up. So yeah, I like that. It is big. Alright, let's be honest, let's put it up against the Pinecil V2, the smallest one I've got. It's chunky, but I like it. Also, that grip at the top is nice, it just rests well. But what about if you're seriously into soldering? Well, the Yahoo 938BD for me has been a good one. I reviewed this and the 995 on Tom's Hardware. Great soldering iron station. The hot air rework has saved me many times. Admittedly, I've not done any hot air rework with it. I've been using it mainly for loosening glue, but it works. These soldering tips are easy to get on and off. Just loosen the collet here. Is it a collet or a collar? Get a new tip from your box. Stick it on. Put that on. Obviously when it's cold. Don't do it when it's hot. And ready to go. It feels like a Hakko soldering iron in quality, but you're not paying the Hakko price. So easy to use it. I'm just turning it on to 350 now. And it's heating up, ready to go. So 150. Admittedly it's not at that temperature properly yet, but it heats up fast. And I can be ready to solder. Nice little station as well to clean the tip. Chuck it in when I'm done. Do more soldering. Chuck it back in. You get the idea. When I'm done with it, just press the power button and it starts cooling down. So, soldering irons, don't start off buying expensive stuff if you're just starting out. Buy one of these cheap USB ones. They're about 8 to 10 quid these days. If you spot a Pinecil V2 for about 25 to 30 quid, get that, and that will do 99% of what you want to do soldering wise. When you start doing speaker wires and big, meaty connections, you buy these. Start off with a Pinecil or a TS101 or a TS100, or get this Fnirsi for about 35 quid and just start soldering up some kits. Anyway, that's all. See you later.